Okay, business owners, in an overcrowded marketplace, it is essential that we know how to differentiate ourselves, to stand out. And let me tell you, the person who's going to help you do that is the wonderful Melissa Creede. Oh my gosh, Melissa, I'm so glad you're joining me today.
So excited to be here. This is one of my favorite topics to talk about, so this is great.
Yes. And you know, one thing, Melissa, so first let me tell you guys a little insight about Melissa. She's an executive and celebrity coach. And one thing that Melissa does, and it really attracts me to her, is that she helps executives and celebrities use their platform to make this world a better place. It helps them stand out because we know when we can exude our values, that sets us apart from maybe some competitors. So Melissa, tell me, how did you find this path of work, this passion of yours?
Yeah, well, maybe I'll step back a bit. So I was an executive in a company that dealt in sustainability and climate change. So I think I've been in the space for a really long time about making a difference from the other side of the table. And then when I became a coach, a lot of people that had social impact and values would be attracted to my work and me as a person. So I'm doing coaching like any other leader, leadership coaching about staying strategic and staying, influential and developing teams. So just the classic leadership coaching, but it tends to attract people who want to also use their platforms for some kind of positive good. And what we realized through all of this is it actually attracts more followership. It attracts, more business. 91% of consumers prefer to buy from an organization that supports a good cause.
Oh my gosh, tell me that number again.
91%. And that number is rising with that younger generation. Gen Zs and Millennials, that number goes up because they are values-based consumers. This is everything from the products they buy to the music they consume. They really want to align with the values of the organizations and the brands they spend money in. And this happens in their buying patterns. This happens when they're going to get work in organizations. This happens with the employees. So it's across the board, everything in business. We can track back to people wanting to align with their values, a big sector, and that number is growing as that generation gets more buying power.
So why do you think it is? Like, what trends have you noticed, maybe when you first started out and to now, people, like, it's increasing 91%, yeah. It's all values-based. What do you think has shifted?
Well, I think each generation brings something new to the world. And millennials were the ones that brought sort of that values-based thinking when it came to workplaces, when it came to buying, but Gen Zs are really stepping into that as consumers. They are consumers of values-based products. So I think it's really just demographics in a lot of ways. And now, of course, when we see in the world, there is so much need for action that people are voting with their wallets when it comes to wanting, in the month of February this year, Costco saw an increase of 8 million customer visits, as they were staying true to their diversity, equity, inclusion efforts while their competitors were pulling them back in 1 month.
Wow. Business owners, listen to that. I think sometimes many people are afraid that if they start talking and sharing and really showing their values, that people won't buy. Yeah. What do you say to them when they come to you with that fear?
It's a real fear, but in business that you need to exclude people as much as you need to include them. Nobody buys a generic product. If you go to buy a house, you don't just pick a generic real estate agent. You pick somebody who has something specific that you're looking for. There are ways that we can differentiate in business, whether we're business owners or leaders, as this happens in organizations as well. We can differentiate around many issues. We can differentiate around specialty. We can differentiate about expertise. But this is another way to differentiate ourselves, is to align with values, speak up about those values, and you will gain haters. You will, but you will also gain more people that follow you. I really love to use Taylor Swift as an example. So I've been watching her rise to fame over time. And, I'm more of an social anthropologist. I'm looking at it even as a social anthropologist, not so much not just only her music, but she was popular, 5-6 years ago. But when she started speaking up about misogyny and sexism, things she was actively reluctant to speak about earlier in her career, she gained fans and followers that she never had before. The biggest segment that she gained were adult women, most of them who couldn't even name 3 of her songs. It had nothing to do with her music and everything to do with what she was speaking about, because misogyny and sexism, those issues that Taylor was speaking about from her own firsthand experience, she was speaking about their issues. And because she became their voice, they became her army. Look at any comment page where someone criticizes Taylor Swift, and it's just fierce, the amount of defense, because they're not just defending her, they're defending the causes that she stands for. And that's what happens when we speak up about our values and we speak up about issues. So she gained an enormous amount of haters. But what she did was she forced people to make a decision about her. Because before that, I'm going to make up numbers, but let's say 10% of the population loved her and 10% of the population hated her. There were 80% of the people that didn't really have a strong opinion about her until she started making waves with these things. So maybe her haters went up to 40, 50%. I don't know what the numbers specifically are, but that market share of followers and fans got bigger, but it also got more fierce. They will defend her for anything because they represent the values she's representing are their values. That's what we want to do when we speak up about social issues. So yes, you have to be ready for that. But really right now, anything you speak about, you're going to be attacked for. So you might as well stand for the things that you value and that are important to you.
Absolutely. Two things that you said that really stuck out to me. One is, Taylor because of her values, because she's sharing them, she's created this army. Yeah. And how wonderful would it be for all of us in business to have people that stand for us. They defend us. They, really rally around one another. I mean, that's growing a community. It really is. Not just standing up for you as a business owner, but in your community as well. And I love that. And then something that makes me think, okay, we have Taylor Swift. Her sales increased when she started talking about misogyny and the things that she experienced. Taylor Swift is an amazing artist. There are other amazing artists out there too, but she really has differentiated herself from the rest.
Absolutely. And she rallied, and she didn't go out, well, maybe she did. I don't know what her strategy was, but I think it was just natural too for her to speak up about these things as she was experiencing them. But celebrities who speak up about social issues get 50% more media coverage. And in some cases, 30% more sponsorship. So we see this if we just look around anecdotally. Someone like Lady Gaga, she's a great musician, but she gets more interviews because she speaks up about LGBTQ plus issues. She gets more interviews because she has interesting things to talk about, not just her music. So it's the music, but like you said, there are many musicians that are great, but we have to have more in this world to keep people's attention, and we might as well be changing the world while we're at it.
Absolutely. Now, Melissa, how would you suggest a business owner starting small in really communicating their values, especially if they're a little intimidated by it?
Yeah, it's a great question because we don't all have Taylor Swift's platform for sure. I think really the place I often look when I work with people one-on-one, like I help people figure this out because sometimes you need a private space to kind of work through your issues and figure out. And in my experience, if I ask somebody, what do you care about or what do you want to speak up about? The first answer they give is not usually what we end up with at the end, because it's usually sort of the superficial answer. And often it's not one that we're super passionate about. It's when it feels safer. And we can still, like I always start with what's the real thing, and then we can worry about the actual implementation and strategy of safety, all that stuff later. But we want to start with what's in your heart, what you're passionate about. I always think, what riles you up in the world? What makes you like get mad when you scroll through your phone or like bang your hands on the table? That's the place to at least look. Those are the issues, because those issues are going to come out more authentically. And if they don't feel authentic, we've all seen celebrities back causes that we're certain they're not that aligned with, that it looks completely like something their team set up for them. So it's really, and people pick up on authenticity. And it's another thing that Gen Zs really look for, and millennials is, well, everyone does, but that generation is really pushing that in. And in the world of AI as well, like authenticity is becoming even more important. So that's only going to come out when we're passionate about something and when we're really connected with something. So I usually start with what makes you angry in the world that you would want to change.
Ooh, girl.
Probably a lot of things. And then we like when I work with someone, I would navigate down through that and I help find the personal connection to it. Sometimes it's because you had a childhood friend who had an experience or something like that. There's usually some personal story. You don't have to share that personal story publicly, but it's good to connect with why you're doing it. We always, start with why, the purpose of it, and then really understand what you're getting into, because you are going to make some people angry when you speak up about things. But that's kind of what you have to do in business, or you're just not relevant at all either. You have to take a stand on something. There are some things that are a bit easier to take stands on than others. Some things are very controversial, but a lot of times we see people sort of throw out a statement without really understanding it. So that's something I also work with people to really understand the complexities of different issues, what their real stance is, how far they want to go with something. And then just start small, like start with, an odd post, or maybe even conversation, test it verbally with the people in your world to see how they react. If that world is your client base, especially, maybe you have some people in your world that don't necessarily reflect your values, but maybe that doesn't matter in the business case that we're doing. Yeah, so that's really how I start. And then really, you kind of need a champion too. Like I always talk about a personal champion that, before you hit send that first one, you need to talk that through. But I do think knowing what it's about and what risks you have going into it is important. Now, some issues you're not going to need this level of complexity, right? But I know I don't know if you've seen Taylor's movies where she talks about before she's hit send on some things that were kind of scary for her in those early days of her advocacy. Those steps are difficult, but if you're really connected with an issue and you're really passionate about it, it's going to come out naturally anyway. And then there are some issues that not very many people are going to push back against, right? They're pretty common, issues. But I do think really staying true to your values.
I love that, because I really have found in my own growth as a business owner that not only are you providing a service, but one of the best things that you can do is provide this sense of community. Yeah. And when you have those same shared values, it creates something special. And I think there is, yes, it's scary. You will be disqualifying some people, but that's okay. Maybe they need to go to someone else who can help them in a different way. They would probably learn more from someone who has the same shared values as them.
Well, and if we don't take a stand on anything, then we're too generic and nobody wants to buy us anyway. Like, as a coach, for instance, like I have a personal connection with people. They're not going to look up on the internet and find a coach from the internet. That's just not how people will do something personal like that. Or even something like, even if you wanted to go to a yoga class and you didn't know where to start and you looked up yoga in your area, you'd probably get, 1,000 hits or something, a lot of them. How would you narrow it down? Maybe you'd see yoga for business owners, or you'd see something or women in whatever, you would see something that kind of like, oh, well, at least I know that one I will belong there. Not just, I have 1,000 yoga classes I could go to. How do I know which one to pick? Or maybe you go and you get a referral from a friend, but you're not just going to look up yoga and go to like just any class. You're going to have some connection to it. And that's the same thing. The more personal and that's just a class. If we're trying to do coaching, if we're trying to do something, personal with someone, consult on something, give them advice, or a leader in an organization, if they just came up there and said the same old stuff every year, well, we have a vision and a strategy and, good on like if they say all the generic terms that everybody says, everyone's just like scrolling on their phone and not listening. But if they said something a little bit interesting and unique and values-based, then people perk up because it's not just the same. It has some uniqueness to it.
Man, Melissa, so one, I'm going to ask, do you have like an example of a client that you've worked with and how you helped them narrow down their values in a sense of what it was that they were going to talk to them about? And how did you get them talking more about it?
Yeah, that's a great question. So of course I'll be confidential about who it is.
Absolutely.
But so like there was a celebrity I was working with recently, and we were trying at the beginning, there's somebody who is values-based like as an individual, but they were trying to figure out, where do I make my mark in the world? And so through a few sessions, I asked some of those same questions. Like, the first questions I ask are, what do you care about? But we usually get kind of surface level stuff. but it helps start the conversation. And then again, what riles you up? And that's where the fire comes. I ask 10 or 15 different questions about what makes them upset. And maybe I throw out examples, and some things, it's not that they don't care about them, but some things you can see that they get excited about, or they start talking more and they get really personal. And so I sort of am looking for those patterns, and I try to find one or two themes that I get out of that whole conversation. And that may take 2 or 3 sessions, but I reflect back always what I'm hearing. And then once we narrow that down a little bit, those themes typically are big enough that you can do a whole bunch of different things. Then we delve a little bit deeper into, well, what area of this do you want to talk about? Or if there's an issue that they kind of are interested in, but don't really know all the pieces of it, or all the complexities, or all the trick questions that people might ask around it. Because, most social issues do have some trickiness to them if they're complex enough. And so I help them understand all those different pieces, and then together we choose. So I'm not a PR person, but I help them figure out where they want to talk and what they want to say and what some of the talking points are. And then they work with their team to come up with the actual way that they're going to, the way they're going to roll it out in their social media and stuff. Yeah. So I help them come up with a strategy around, my expertise is the social impact part. Mm-hmm. So I help them figure out the social impact part. Their teams don't usually know that topic very well. And so they'll throw out ideas, but they're not authentic. They don't resonate. Maybe the person doesn't really, it's fine, but they're not going to really say much about it. If they ask a question, they freeze because they don't really know. So if we find something that they really care about, it's much, much easier. Yeah. So that's at the beginning. And then through over time, I'm usually just a support as that issue rolls out or as other things come up, because a lot of stuff comes up in the news that celebrities can be asked about. Or, this happens with business owners too. It wouldn't be on the same grand scale, but it's just that, like, I'll go to business in a second. So in the celebrity space, it's really, when an issue comes up, I might share it with them, might talk about all the different pieces of that and help them figure out their stance on it and what their talking points might be. I'm going to switch gears a little bit for the business because it's slightly different, because it's, I am just also a leadership coach and executive coach. So it's helping them with their day-to-day, like staying strategic, staying on task for their vision when they're getting derailed. The average professional spends 36 hours a week in meetings.
I can believe
and that's
that.
Average. So like that's 45, 50 hours for some people. And I see that in my clients. And then you add in 10 to 15 hours of email. You're not even doing any other work at this point. You're just going to meetings, which move some things forward, but you're not really having any time to stay focused on strategic planning, to stay focused on a vision, to have conversations with, your staff or whatever. There's a lot of stuff that doesn't get done when we're just reacting to what's in front of us. And I'm helping people figure out what their longer term visions are for themselves as leaders and for their organizations or for their organization or for their companies if they're small business owners, and helping them have a longer term vision and stay focused on that. So there's a little bit of strategy, there's a little bit of visioning, and then there's just that personal connection again to having someone to stay accountable to. But also the higher you go up in the world in like a tiered system, like an organization or a celebrity, the lonelier it gets. You don't have a lot of people to talk through the things that are challenging you, the things that are derailing you, your own fears, your own like imposter syndromes, like all of those things. It's a personal, confidential space to work through those things. So that's a role I play with a lot of people as well.
Yeah. Well, and I like how you mentioned, having this strategic plan and really considering how do these values drive that strategic plan. Yeah. So I have, I get on stage quite a bit, and as a speaker coach, I talk about the power of speaking a lot. Yeah. But what advice would you give for me as someone who does want to share my values on supporting the LGBTQ plus community and on supporting the rights of educators and promoting, strengthening that? I'm a huge advocate in education as well. How do I weave it into my speech, or is this something on the side?
Yeah, it can come in a lot of different ways. So it can be on the side, and that's often how people start.
Okay.
They start small, right? They start with little, post here, a post there, conversation. And then I do think if it's something you're passionate about, it will naturally come out in your speeches as you continue to develop that confidence with what you're talking about, because it becomes integrated to what you do. Like I post a lot about LGBTQ plus issues as well. And so those become some of the examples that I use, and they come out or misogyny and sexism is something I care about. There's a reason I picked Taylor Swift, other than the fact that she's a great example to use because it's so visible. But those are issues that are important to me. So I'm going to use those in my speaking too.
Yeah.
So they come out more naturally the more you're in tune with them, and the more comfortable you are with the content. It comes into what you do. And for a leader in an organization, it becomes part of your strategy. It becomes part of your vision of who you're going to be as a company. It's not just what you're going to do, it's who you're going to become in the world. And employees want to work for an organization that has that kind of vision and presence. We see this, anecdotally as well with a lot of my clients when they're hiring. There are potential employees in the hiring process that ask them about their corporate social responsibility. And oftentimes they can't answer that question, and they lose really good candidates because it's the good candidates that are asking the hard questions.
Yeah.
And the funny thing to me is a lot of the clients that this happens to are actually doing a lot. They're just not creating any kind of talking points around it. They haven't put it together in a cohesive strategy. So sometimes they do all this, community work and things, and they don't talk about it. And so they've lost out on an opportunity. They've already done the hard part. They're just not even integrating it. And so I've seen many people lose good candidates because they couldn't answer what their organization was doing for the world.
That's such a good lesson. And even whether you're an executive or a business owner, you are doing things. Like I know there's so many people doing amazing things, but we got to talk about it.
That's
I need to talk about it. I'm sitting here thinking, I don't talk about it.
Yeah. I love that. Well, we'll talk after this
like,
call.
oh my God, I need to get on here and talk about it. And so, because that really does, again, it's going to be that differentiation factor.
Yeah, that's right.
And 91% of buyers buy from someone that they either attracted to the values.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially cause-based things. And in terms of, you just said something. I've lost it now. That's okay.
Well, it'll come back.
It'll come back.
Yeah, Melissa, now I know you have had a successful career, a successful business. What are some strategies that you have used and implemented to grow your business?
Yeah. Well, the easiest one that no one ever wants to hear is you just have to talk to people. That the sales conversations, right? Or speaking. Everybody wants to work on their website and to make the business cards, or maybe business cards is a bit dated now, but everybody wants to do the things that aren't talking to people. But it's the talking to the people. That's where people buy you. And it's because they see your values. So we can put our values on a website. We can put our values in our products, and those are important. But it's the personal connection. And that's where the values actually really highlight the personal connection. When you speak about things that you care about, already you feel an affinity or not. But if you don't feel an affinity, you're probably not going to work with them. It will just take you longer to figure that out. That's the thing with Taylor. Again, it forced people to make a decision about her. So that's what you need to do in business. You're going to end up at the same result. It just takes longer because it takes longer for them to get to know you. So you might as well just force that up front.
I love that you said that. It forces people to make a decision about you, because something that I have noticed, especially on my journey of sales and all of that, people struggle with making decisions.
Yeah.
And so you're helping them make a decision faster.
That's right.
To buy from you.
Right. And if they just choose not to because you're not aligned, it's a better choice for everyone anyway. Because even if they had purchased something for you, you would have figured out along the way that it probably wasn't the best fit. So, and most of the time they have a feeling that it's not the right fit, so they just decide not to buy, but they haven't concretely decided why. We make decisions by emotions all the time, but a lot of times we try to rationalize it. So if we can't figure out how to rationalize it, we just don't decide.
Yes. I am loving this, Melissa. I think this is gold, because I really want my audience, everyone, I want you to really map out your values. And like Melissa said, map out the complexities of those values, of those issues that you want to talk about. and start small.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just start small.
As you find your voice, you get confident, you find your voice. Like I'm getting more and more vocal about certain issues that I wasn't even 6 months ago, because I know the issues more. I'm more confident in my stance on them. I'm more comfortable saying, you know what, if you don't like that, that's okay. It's but it has to start. We always jump to like Taylor Swift, right? Like we jump to like, I'm not that, so I can't do something. The thing is, people think that I'll wait until I have an audience, until I speak up. I'll wait until I grow my business. I'll wait until I have 1 million followers. I'll wait until I secure this deal. But it's not, it's the path to growing your business. It's the path to those things. That's the thing that people mix up. They think it's after I get there, then I do it. It's the way you get there. It's one of your strong differentiators. Yeah.
Yeah, it really is. Okay, so I want to go back to, again, because something just came to my mind. I was like, for the longest time, we have been taught it doesn't matter what you say, it matters what you do. But now I'm seeing like this, trend of people are doing a lot of things, but they're not talking about it. It does matter what you say.
Well, I think if everyone could see what you did, then what you do matters. But if no one can see what you did, how are they supposed to know that they connect with that?
You got to talk about it.
That's right. Yeah.
You have to talk
like
about
it's like everything. All those statements are true and not true, right? Like it's true that you can't just say and not be aligned with it. It can't be inauthentic. You can't say something and do something different. But if you're doing it and no one knows, how do they connect with you?
Mm-hmm. And it will encourage them to take action. I know a lot of women, especially women. Now, there's some men too who it's been ingrained in them that you do things with humility. You don't have to talk about it. You don't have to brag about it. But I also see this power in, no, talk about it, because you're going to get other people to do it. Like you're encouraging them.
Every voice empowers another voice. So when you speak up about something, it gives somebody else the courage to speak up about it. Especially, I'm going to be about things that make the world better, right? Like that's my brand, that's my thing. So I'm not talking about doing things that are awful and then other people do it. But if you empower by showing up and saying something, you're empowering someone else who was sort of thinking of the same thing to either do something or say something. And then that grows and spirals and keeps getting bigger. And all of those little steps are what embolden change. That's where we get to that change. I have this saying, a legacy isn't something you leave behind. A legacy is something you live out loud on purpose every day. And I think that's really what we can connect with.
Melissa, that's so powerful. You live it out loud on purpose every day. And people who have a platform, who have their own business, who are executives, who are celebrities, they have, I want to say, even like the moral obligation to do it.
That's right. I believe that too. The bigger your platform and the more privilege you have, the more of a responsibility you have to use that for something meaningful and good. And there's a fulfillment element. It's a bit selfish too. Like we feel good when we've done something good. So it's, and I think if you can really stand behind what you're saying, even if you get backlash, like the things that I know that a lot of the things that I stand for aren't always what everybody's cup of tea, but I'm feeling pretty confident that on the right side of history, I'll have landed in the right place. So I can live with that. And if someone doesn't agree with me, they're not my people, right? They're going to go to someone else. And like, I can go to bed at night knowing that that's where I'm showing up each day. And if I can help somebody else be empowered to speak up about what they care about.
Oh, Melissa, gosh, you're just such a beautiful person inside and out. Like, I just love you. You're getting me pumped up. Now, the last question, Melissa, I have to ask, what is one piece of advice that you would give to business owners right now?
Along the same themes of what we're talking about, or in general?
No, just in general.
I guess I'm a vision person. So like, it's not that you have to know exactly where you're going to be in 5 years. I think for most people, that's really hard to figure out. But have a vision of who you want to be. And it should be a bit bold and audacious. Like it's like almost like the biggest thing you can imagine. Like that's what I want to be. And live into that every day.
Yeah. Out loud and proud.
Out loud and proud.
Yes. And that, again, goes into that differentiating factor.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, I love that, Melissa. So I know that you have something for the audience today.
I do have a little quiz. It's really quick, but it's called, Are You Ready to Grow Your Business and Your Brand like Taylor Swift? And
Yes.
check it out. It gives you a few questions to see where you're at in that, because, you know, everyone starts somewhere. And I always say all change starts with one action.
Yeah.
We always want to be at the end, but it's step after step after step.
It is a journey. And everyone, this link will be in the show notes. Grab your quiz today. I'm excited to get it. I'm gonna be opting into it. So thank you so much, Melissa. And tell my audience, how can they follow you?
So a few ways. If you are on LinkedIn, it's just my name, Melissa Creede. If you're on platforms like Instagram and TikTok, I'm Lead with Melissa. Lead with Melissa is the name. So those are probably the best ways to reach me.
Excellent.
LinkedIn,
And those will all be in the show notes as well. People, grab it, follow Melissa, connect with her, because she is a wealth of knowledge and so helpful. Melissa, thank you so much for being here today.
Well, and don't hesitate to reach out to me on message, like direct message me in those platforms if you want to talk about anything. And in the quiz, there's an ability to have a call with me if you'd like to walk through the results.
People, book those calls. Book the call.
We'll get some strategies going.
Exactly. Well, thank you so much, Melissa. And everyone, thank you for watching. I hope you're having a fabulous day. And remember to stand out and get on stage. We'll see you